Hello, nice to meet you. I am Professor Hyun-Mo of the Department of Paramedicine, Korea National University of Transportation. I am presenting today under the title Study on the Disaster Field Response Procedure and Triage using Disaster Tabletop. Disaster refers to the occurrence of an intentional damage to a community when it exceeds its ability to respond appropriately and its medical resources. As society changes rapidly, the current disasters become increasingly complex and diverse. In addition, in recent years, nature disasters and man-made disasters are mixed. Therefore, education and training on disaster are essential for emergency medical workers, but simple lecture-style education is the most basic method of disaster education currently being conducted. In addition, disaster training, excluding lecture, is only comprehensive training conducted once or twice a year. And in the case of comprehensively training, high cost, a lot of manpower, and long preparation time are required. So, due to various circumstances, it is practically impossible for our emergency medical personnel participate. Therefore, it is questionable whether effective response will be possible when a disaster situation occurs. To this end, Korea established the Ministry of Public Safety and Security in 2014 to revise the law on emergency medical care and the procedure, produce emergency response manuals for the state and the local government. And emergency medical workers are required to receive more than 12 hours of disaster medical education every year. However, there is still insufficient education and training for disaster medical care. Paramedic consult, rescue, and transport emergency patients. They are also emergency medical workers engaged in first aid services during the field transport and when in a hospital. So it is the key job that responds first to disasters. Therefore, paramedics must be able to respond suitable to disasters, and there must be a broad understanding of disasters and excellent preparation methods according to their roles. The role of the disaster medical assistance team, we will call it DMAT, that directly treats patients at the disaster site, the identification and request of medical resources for the site, the mediation of interest, and communication with the public are the role of public health. Paramedics are human research capable of working in both DMAT and public health. And in this area, the understanding of disaster of paramedic students is practically very important. However, the most basic disaster education method of the Department of Paramedicine is lecture type education, and practical education for disaster is insufficient. In addition, in the study results, which surveyed hospital medical staff, it was suggested that goal-oriented strategies and practical education are essential for disaster education. And most of the previous studies on the ability to perform tasks and perceptions related to disaster were studies on public officials or medical personnel who did not respond directly to the disaster scene. So there is no research centered on students in the Department of Paramedicine. Therefore, uh, it is time for a new educational method for paramedic students as well as lecture-centered education on the current disaster. Therefore, the researchers conducted a scenario-based simulation program for paramedic students who will act as human researchers in response to a disaster. In addition, Through the research of participants in the program, we would like to propose a method of education on the management of emergency rescue and disaster-related courses. The research method for this is as follows. The participants of this study were students in the Department of Paramedic and university who completed major education in the same course. The participants were selected to be the same grade that completed a major course related to disasters, and the difference between participants was minimized. Consent to the study was obtained along with the questionnaire asking the participants about their health status on the day. As a result, students who were unable to participate in the study due to health reasons and who did not wish to participate were excluded from the study. In addition, it was explained that even if you feel abnormal health or do not want to participate in the study during the study, as you can always stop, and there is no disadvantage to it. Among the pre questionnaires, the general characteristics included gender, age, whether there was a disaster education experience within 2 years, the last disaster education period, and the disaster training participation experience. And the question was asked about the need for disaster education, competence in work in the event of a disaster, patient treatment according to severity classification, and understanding of the system for delivering information to other medical staff and related persons. In addition, 10 questions were answered to find out the degree of understanding related to disasters. As for the disaster education program, the education program developed by the Catholic University Department of Emergency Medicine was modified and used by referring to the 2016 Emergency Response Manual and the Educational Program Development Report of the Emergency Medicine Research Foundation. In order to develop an education program suitable for paramedics, one paramedic who plans and trains hospital disaster drills every year, the one paramedic who is in charge of disaster lectures at the fire school, and the Department of Paramedicine is in charge of disaster education for students at the university. It was developed by reflecting the recommendation of one professor. The program proceeds in the following order after conducting a pre-survey before training, and then uh, explaining the equipment and the recording papers and communication system to be used for disaster level training, manpower and space arrangement for each areas, and simulated disaster simulation and debriefing and post-question survey and evaluation. The scenario used for education was divided into two scenarios for multiple this due to an explosion accident at a nearby airport. The simulation lasted about 50 minutes. A large lecture hall at the university was used as the location of the educational program. The number of participants was limited to 3 lectures and 20 participants of the educational program in consideration of practical aspects. The video and sound effect of the disaster movie were used so that participants could immerse themselves in the actual situation. Before starting the education program, the curriculum manager explained the drawing used in the education program and the simulated process. After completion, debriefing was conducted to share feeling and experience with each other during the training process for each role. In the post-questionnaire, the satisfaction with the simulation education, the degree of need for the simulation education, and the degree of need for the simulation education were asked to re-answer the 10 questions for understanding the disaster that were asked. For statistics, window SPSS statistics was used. Continuous variable were expressed as median and minimum and maximum values, and repeated measure variable were analyzed using Wilcoxon test, and nominal variable were expressed as frequencies and percentages. To compare the result before and after training, corresponding sample t-test was performed. Cronbach alpha value was calculated to evaluate the reliability of the questionnaire, and Pearson correlation test was performed to determine the association between the questions. The research results are as follows. The participants of this study were fourth grade students in the Department of Emergency Rescue at the university who completed their major education in the same course. The result of the general characteristics of the study participants are the same as what you see on the screen. The comparison of the results before and after simulation is as follows. The result of comparison of pre and post simulation results is the same as what you see on the screen. This is part of the discussion of this result. In general, disaster-related training is comprehensively carried out through severe rehearsal exercise by planning annual training at hospital or fire departments in the area, preparing scenarios that consider local characteristics. Through such disaster training, most of the disaster-related practice and experience of paramedic students in charge of the simulated patient and some necessary tasks in the disaster training. Of course, there is a positive impact of being able to experience the actual simulation situation indirectly, but there is a limit to understanding the overall disaster response as well as understanding the degree of the role played by oneself. In order to effectively respond to disasters, all factors related to disaster must be organically progressed and managed in an integrated manner. Therefore, the disaster education method of paramedic students who should be active as practical personnel for disaster emergency medical care in the future should be more practical. In previous studies, it was shown that general education and training performed to develop individual disaster emergency medical competence did not affect the perception of emergency medical care management. In addition, since the number, method, and content of education and training for disaster safety management do not affect the individual's professionalism and competence. The existing education needs to be improved. The American Medical Association has developed its one national disaster medical treatment process to strengthen response capabilities in the public health area in the event of a disaster. Therefore, the national standard of disaster medical care is provided so that emergency medical workers, including emergency medical personnel, can systematically respond to disasters. The National Disaster Medical Education curriculum in the United States consists of a basic disaster life support course, an advanced disaster life support course, and a core disaster life support course. In addition to nature disasters, education courses are operated so that emergency medical workers can respond smoothly to various types of disasters such as explosive and biochemical terrorism. Australia reported the UK's major incident, medical management and support course as on education and training course in disaster medicine. The curriculum consists of a total of 9 online courses, 3 lectures, 1 skill course, 2 tabletop simulations, and 3 workshop courses. These trainings are conducted through practical training in the field, and a separated training course is being conducted as the importance of the commanders is highlighted. In Europe, disaster medicine course consists of a master's program at the graduate school, 84% of which consists of lectures, and the need for hands-on education is emerging, and the disaster training curriculum research group is developing a standardized disaster curriculum. Japan operated a DMAT consisting of 4 doctors, nurse, and administrative staff in a single hospital for rapid team formation and operation rather than large-scale and diverse personnel in team. This was rapidly supplemented after the 2011 Great East Japan earthquake. The importance of disaster information for command and control was particularly emphasized. For this, based on the emergency medical information system using the internet, disaster information was shared and activities were commanded and controlled. In disaster-related practice, the reporting process using EMIS was reinforced. In addition, the Japanese program has many nature disasters caused by earthquake, so lectures and simulation exercises are also organized around the earthquake response process. In Korea, the National Medical Center developed a disaster medical emergency response manual and disaster medical education and training program. In addition, in 2015, the Korean disaster life support process is being implemented for disaster medical staff at disaster-based hospitals. The content of the training include how to wear personal protective equipment, practice of decontamination method, virtual training for in-hospital response, communication in a disaster situation, information collection and reporting, virtual training for mass casualties, and comprehensive training for disaster field response by DMAT. However, most of them are still focused on disaster sites. In addition, opportunities for active sharing of opinion and skill acquisition are provided through disaster response symposiums conducted in the private sector, disaster workshops, and at local hospitals, disaster medical skills workshops, and simulation training. As such, KDLS education and workshop held at local hospitals are composed of essential content at the disaster site. So if this education is extended to students in the Department of Paramedicine, it is through that opportunity for quality disaster education can be provided without developing another program. In this study using a disaster tabletop, the competence in work as paramedics was improved from 6.1 to 9.0 in the event of disaster after the education was completed compared to before education. And Competence in the severity classification improved from 6.2 to 7.9, and competence in the disaster medical system delivery to other medical staff was also increased from 5.0 to 8.1 was improved. As such, the simulation education program related to disaster is an educational method that enable users to experience indirect experience in a safe environment by setting virtually difficult situations that are practically difficult to experience. Compared to comprehensive training, special utility and cost saving can also be expected. And since it can be implemented even in situations where clinical practice and ambulance training due to infectious disease is not possible, I think it is good to apply it to emergency rescue and disaster curriculum. And it has the advantage of being able to understand the overall disaster response system or reporting system and enabling repetitive practice in a short time. And if you change rules and progress repeatedly, it will be helpful to understand the rules of other occupations that were difficult to experience through comprehensive training. However, in order to conduct disaster training using disaster tabletop, there is a limitation that there must be a lecturer who can operate on education program, and the corresponding equipment is also required. In this regard, if instructor who can provide practical lectures dispatched in the form of special lectures or help through workshops, it is through that it will be easier to conduct disaster response training for each university. The limitation of this study is that only students enrolled in the Department of Paramedicine at one university were studied, and not spending enough time for pre-education in proceeding with complex disaster scenarios, causing the participants to experience confusion. In addition, the participants who played the role of medical institution did not take uh, realistic consideration such as functional paralysis of the depletion of medical resources and manpower of the institution. Therefore, the medical institution cannot consider that the plan for the disaster because it is pre-focused and participate in the disaster scenario that are in progress in the educational program. In the future, it will be necessary to conduct a study to evaluate the effectiveness by conducting education using by disaster tabletop for students from various universities along with various scenarios. This is the conclusion of the study. According to the result of this study, it is true that if the training using the disaster tabletop is combined with disaster education for students in the Department of Paramedicine, it is expected that the job competence related to disaster will be improved. Thank you.